So why in the world were you in Guntersville, Alabama, if you were from Ohio?
I'm a fisherman and I love the bass fish, and that's been on my bucket list since I was probably in my 20s. It's been one of them rated in the top 3 lakes in the country for years. My wife, ironically, had a friend, Amy, who she graduated with, that she talked me into going to a 25th school reunion, and I fought her the whole way. But when I got there, I met Amy. She kept mentioning Guntersville Lake, Guntersville Lake, and I was like, okay, are you really talking about the lake, Guntersville, that I know, like fishing lake? And she goes, yeah, but we don't fish. And I'm like, well, I'd love to be there one day and fish. And she's like, well, come on down. And I told her, don't say it if you don't mean it, because I'll be there in April. And she's like, okay, come on down. And well, that April, I called her and said, hey, we got 4-day weekend. Can I come on down and fish? And I think that was 2014, not 11, but 2014.
So you've been coming to Guntersville for over 10 years then?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
So tell me about that day this year. Tell me about the day you were hit.
It was, I was not planning on going fishing because the night before, all the weather reports had come out. So my plans was not to go fishing, spend the day with my wife in Guntersville, running around, maybe go to Huntsville, do something. And 9 o'clock rolled around in the morning. She still was sleeping. And I was having a cup of coffee with a guy at the campground. And all of a sudden, skies opened up. It looked like this, just some clouds, a little bit of haze. And I looked at the radar. Everything had passed. And my friend Maurice said, hey, you might want to get fishing today. It looks like it's going to be a good day. I'm like, I think you're right. So I went in the trailer, asked my wife, I said, you okay if I go fishing and come back about 2 o'clock? And she's like, yeah, go fishing. I'm like, you want me to unhook the boat trailer? She's like, no, just leave it hooked up. When you get here, we'll run around, because that's our only form of vehicle. And she doesn't like driving my boat or my truck if anything's hooked to it. So she told me it was okay. So I took off, put the boat in the water, and went fishing. It's about 10 miles from where I campground to where I fished, wanted to fish that day. So I went over in front of Honeycomb Creek. I was fishing in front of this bluff wall. I caught several fish already, and I stood up to make another cast, and I don't remember anything after that except for I woke up looking at the sky. I never heard a flash, never saw a flash, never heard a boom, nothing like that. Just looking at the sky, and I was like, where am I at? I don't know where I'm at right now. And then I looked and I saw my steering wheel of my boat, and I'm laying there, and I'm like, okay, I'm in my boat. So I'm like, what am I doing? So I looked up, and there was this smiley face, a graffiti smiley face on the bluff wall, and that triggered a memory from the day before that was Honeycomb Creek, and this is Guntersville Lake. So I'm like, okay, I need to call 911. I was paralyzed from my leg, from my waist down. I couldn't move my legs. And I was like, okay, I just need to call 911, and I don't know what happened. I have no idea at that point. So I picked my hand up, and then all it was meat. And I'm like, oh, shoot. Put my hand down. I used my left hand, called 911. And that surprised me after I called 911, because every electronic on my boat, all my depth finders, my motor, my trolling motor was blown apart. But this phone still worked. So I called 911, told the dispatcher where I thought I was on the lake. She pinged my phone and said, yeah, that's where you're at, sir. I'm like, okay. I said, well, I need help. I don't know what happened. I'm assuming I got struck by lightning, but I have no idea. And she's like, okay, well, I'll get help on the way. So I started hearing sirens, and I'm like, I'm hearing sirens. Did you send them already? And she's like, I haven't sent anybody yet. And I'm like, she goes, well, maybe someone else did. And I'm like, okay. And then I heard a boat come up to me, and he said, we got you, sir. We got you. We're pushing you to shore. Just relax. And I'm like, okay. So I said, here's dispatch, 911, and I laid the phone down next to me. So they're like, okay. And then once they started pushing my boat to shore, I blacked out. I couldn't see anything no more, but I could hear and I could respond. They pushed this fisherman, his name is Jason Whitehead, who was a guide on the lake, was fishing about 200 yards down around a point, and he just heard the sirens also. And he wanted to see what was happening, if he could assist it in any way, shape, or form. And he drove down, and sure enough, they needed him because the rescue boat was like 20 minutes out to get to me. And they had no way of getting to me. I was just floating on the lake. So he drove to shore, picked them up, brought them, and that saved that 20 minutes. I may have died in that 20 minutes. He possibly saved my life. So,
Was there a fire at all? Do you remember any fire?
no, there was no fire. Everything melded, and I rewired my boat myself. So obviously I must have done something right with the breaker system in it. But everything tripped. There was melded wires all through my boat. There's a spot in my boat, looked like it got shot by a 22, where the electricity actually went through the fiberglass into the water. But yeah.
So did you hear thunder before this happened
No.
at all? So you just had no inkling it was about to happen?
No, had no idea. And the officer that came and talked to me while I was waiting to go into surgery to sort of do his report, told me he talked to Jason Whitehead, talked to another fisherman that was out there in a pontoon, talked to the Honeycomb Marina, and asked them if there was they heard anything. And they said they hadn't heard anything for like 45 minutes to an hour. And it just a bolt come out of nowhere and got me. Just weird.
So tell me about your injury here.
We assume it hit the fishing rod, traveled down the rod, and the injury went into the hand. And my hand was wrapped around the reel, of the rod, and that's made out of aluminum. So it took the path of least resistance to this hand because I had it on the reel handle on this side. So it entered this hand and exited this hand. So this hand took the blunt of everything. And I just burnt this finger and got a bunch of shrapnel. You can't really tell right now, but I had shrapnel all through my hand here from the reel blowing up. And there's still plastic like pieces like raising up out of my skin, pushing out still to this day. But and then it traveled down. My rain suit was damp. And they think that's what saved my life, was because the electricity of the bolt didn't know exactly what path to take to ground. So it sort of dispersed itself down this leg and down this leg. And this leg took the blunt of it, and it melded my rain suit to my body from here all the way up to here. And they had to cut my rain suit off of me, but then they had to scrape this off of me at UAB. But yeah, and then I have an exit spot on this foot right here so it sort of went down both legs. But another thing that saved my life was I actually was holding the fishing rod like this. If I wouldn't have been holding the fishing rod with this hand on the reel, the electricity would have probably followed this arm across here and down this leg and went through my heart and would have killed me, they said, pretty much instantly.
So you were taken initially to which hospital? Do you remember?
They took me right straight to UAB right here.
So were you airlifted or?
Nope.
By ambulance?
Yep. I remember them when they pushed me to shore. I can remember them saying we need 6 people in the water to put me on a board and take me out of the boat into the ambulance. And I don't remember the movement or the jarring of me at all. I don't remember any of that. I just remember once I got in the ambulance, the EMT telling me, "I'm not going to sugarcoat this, sir. You're in really bad shape." He said, "And because of the shape you're in, we're not wasting any time. We're going to drive you straight to UAB. It's an hour and 40-minute drive. We're going to get you as fast as we can." And then he said, "Are you here by yourself?" I'm like, "No, my wife is here." And was she in the boat? And I'm like, "No." I said, "She's at our camper." And
how did she find out about this?
From this EMT.
Okay.
He had my phone, and he asked me her name, asked me the phone number. I told him the phone number. He said, "I'm going to call her right now." And when I told him my phone number, the dispatch for UAB was talking to him also. And I heard her say, or someone say, "Is that the young man or the man that got struck by lightning talking to you?" And he's like, "Yeah, he can talk and respond. He's answering my questions just fine. He knows everything." And she's like, "Keep him talking." And I'm like, and they just kept me talking about my kids and my job and whatever, all the way to UAB.
So you were alert all the way in the hospital?
Yeah, I felt, but I had no pain.
Really? How does that happen?
I don't know, unless, adrenaline, body shock, I'm not sure, but I had no pain at all through the whole process. And I think when they got me to UAB is when the pain kicked in through my body. I didn't feel it, but I didn't know how bad I was hurting either, because all I thought was my hand. You don't have a mirror, you can't see yourself. So I had no idea. And when they transferred me from the ambulance to UAB care, all I heard was them pushing me, and they're like, we need a trauma team for his face, we need a trauma team for his jaw, we need a trauma team for his eyes, we need a trauma team for his hand, we need a trauma team for his body, and we need to get some vital organs checked. And I was like, that's when I was like, oh man, I'm hurt way worse than I thought. And so I'm just sitting there trying to process it, and I heard them say, we need to get his rain suit off of him. And when they did that, started scraping that off of me or pulling it off, whatever they did, that's when I had like a death experience. Like my mind must have stopped, but my heart didn't. I don't know.
What do you mean by death experience?
I felt like someone took my hands, shook me, and I was like a blanket, and I was floating in a cloudy substance, and everything went pure quiet, peace like you've never felt in your life. And I'm like, okay, I'm dying. I'm going to heaven. And I prayed, please, dear Lord, take care of my wife, my daughters, my grandbabies that I'll never see. Help guide them in the path that you want them to be. And I'll just please do that for me. Amen. And then it felt like somebody shook me again. And then I was back in the ER, and I could hear the voices again. I'm like, okay, he's not done with me yet. What does he want from me? So
how did this change you?
I talk about my Lord a lot now to people, and I want everyone to know that peace. If anybody thinks that is God in heaven and that peace is a farce, a story, just somebody telling something, I'm here to tell you it's not. When I felt that peace, I'm no longer afraid of death anymore because of that, but I want everyone else to know they need to get right with Jesus so they can have that same peace.
So how long were you in the hospital at UAB?
I was at UAB, I believe, 12 days.
Wow.
And 5 or 6 of those was ICU. And then they stepped me down. I lost like the first 4 days because once they did my hand and this, they had to keep me pretty medicated for pain. But they did a really phenomenal job. I don't know if this would have happened in any other state. I don't know if I'd still be alive, or if I was alive, if I'd have an eye, or just be able to talk. I don't know, because the trolling motor blew up in my face from all the electricity trying to escape out of the wires in the top of the trolling motor, and it was like stepping on a landmine for, let's say, a military guy. And that shrapnel exploded and went up into my jaw through here. You can see the scar. And then it took several pieces, but a piece about this big went through my cheek, cut my cheek open, blasted it through, and lodged itself in my cheek inside them, under the skin. Nobody could see it. And they brought a plastic surgeon in while they were doing other stuff on my legs, when they were taking my suit off of me, when they were irrigating my eyes and all this stuff that they were doing to me. And I was told he filleted the layers of skin into layers and then spread it apart and sewed it all together so I wouldn't have this humongous scar here, and you can't even tell that it even happened. And then he came back 3 hours later and told me, I'm sorry, sir, I got to go in there and undo what I did. And I'm like, why? And he goes, they just did their radiology, said there's a foreign body lodged up in your cheek, around your nasal area or something up in here. So he had to cut it and take it out and then re-sew me back up.
Now, do you have a fear of thunderstorms now?
Yeah. I told my brother at first that I didn't think I would have any kind of phobias or any kind of fear or anything like that. But the first week he was down here with me, helping me take care of myself, or him taking care of me and my wife taking care of me. We had some storms roll through that week we were at the campers, and I was just pacing up and down the trailer because of the lightning and thunder. I didn't know. I was just sort of freaked out, but I'm slowly getting past it, I think. But still, I'm going to be way more. I mean, it's weird because I don't think I did anything wrong that day. You know what I mean? I didn't see anything. I paid attention to I was on vacation. I wasn't in no hurry. I wasn't in no rush. I wasn't I'm jonesing to get out there in a thunderstorm. You know, I was biding my time, and watched everything that I thought would be done. I wanted this to be a vacation that, I don't want to get hurt. And I was just relaxed and having fun. And for that to happen out of the blue, you ask yourself, why? Why me? Why this? Why that? And I'm like, I just told people, like, the devil must have known what God's plan was for me. And he tried to take me out, and God said, that ain't happening. And he shielded me and kept me here. And I've always been someone who people gravitate to and talk to. I talk to people and I help people, or, I want to lift people up and not push them down. I want to see people succeed. I'm happy where I have been in life. And if there's a younger person that wants to surpass me and move forward, I'll be more than willing to help them. And that's the type of person I've always been. Well, when COVID hit, I went inverted, quit talking to people, quit being that outgoing person that I always was, started paying more attention to my 401k and how much money I can get in there so I can retire. Got a little greedy, I think, got more self-centered. And when people would talk, I would tell my wife and stuff that I pray on the lake. I go to the lake to get my prayers. My relationship with God is mine. And I think that's not where you're supposed to be. God wants you to spread the word. He wants you, if you're a Christian and you believe in Jesus Christ, we're here to tell others about him, not keep it to yourself. So I think this was his wake-up call to me, and I need to listen. So,
wow.
Okay.
So one more question, and thanks for your time. I know, thank y'all for doing this. If you could talk to, say, another fisherman about the fact that lightning's serious business, what would you say to him?
I would say that no fish, nothing on the water is worth your life. And lightning needs to be something that I guess we need to be way more conscious of, even though it might be 5 or 10 miles away. I guess just the moral of my story is I'm never going to go out on lake again. If there's a storm within 10 miles of the lake, I'm going to just call it a day, and I'm going to find something else to do because it's not worth my life at all. So that any tournament organization that's out there that sees this, I think they need to reevaluate that too, because it wasn't even 2 weeks after this happened to me. I watch a lot of fishing videos and watch tournament videos, and there's tournaments that next week that it was on Eufaula Lake in Oklahoma, and there was lightning. It was a flat out lightning storm all across the lake, and they didn't call the lake, and there was only like 3 fishermen out of that whole 200-man field that decided to go take cover. The rest of them fished in that stuff. They're taking their life in their own hands doing that. And I would suggest not to do that at all, ever.